This is Mrs. Wayner's Math Class, Chapter 1, Lesson 10A, Proper Number Sentences with Addition, Subtraction, Multiplication, and Division, Simple Problems. We have 2 learning targets today. By the end of the lesson, you should confidently be able to say, I can write number sentences in various ways, and I can use proper terminology when referring to a number sentence. In this lesson, we'll go through our operations in the order that we learned them in. So, of course, the first type of math that we learned was addition. Proper terminology for an addition problem, writing it horizontally, would be addend plus addend equals sum. An example of an addition problem written horizontally would be 6 plus 2 equals 8. Or you could flip it around and say 2 plus 6 equals 8. You can also write an addition problem vertically, and that would look like this. Addend plus addend equal bar sum. When writing an addition problem vertically, you have to have the plus sign and the equal bar. They are required as well. Using the same digits 6, 2, and 8, we could write the problems vertically as 6 plus 2 equals 8, or 2 plus 6 equals 8. So those are 4 different ways that we can write an addition problem. And remember, an addition problem, the terminology is addend plus addend equals sum. The largest number is always the sum. The next operation is subtraction, and we can write a subtraction problem horizontally. The correct terminology would be minuend minus subtrahend equals difference. If I was using those same digits, 2, 6, and 8, I would say 8 minus 2 equals 6. Or I could say 8 minus 6 equals 2. Notice in a subtraction problem, most often the largest number is the minuend, or the largest number is first. I can also write a subtraction problem vertically, and that would look like this. Minuend, because that's always the first number in a subtraction problem, and it's usually the largest, minus subtrahend equal bar difference. So whether I write it horizontally or vertically, it's minuend minus subtrahend equals difference. I'm going to use the same numbers. My minuend would be my largest number, so that's going to be 8 minus 2 equals 6. Or if I flip it around, my largest number, 8, is still my minuend, so it would be 8 minus 6 equals 2. So those are 4 ways that we can write a subtraction problem correctly. The third operation that we're going to review is multiplication. Again, we can write a multiplication problem horizontally, and that would be factor times factor equals product. And if we had the numbers 4, 3, and 12, we can say 4 times 3 equals 12. Notice in a multiplication problem, my product or my answer is most often the largest number. If I wanted to use those same numbers and write another multiplication problem, I can say 3 times 4 equals 12. My largest number will be my product. And in addition to writing a multiplication problem horizontally, I can also write it vertically. And that would be factor times factor equal bar and product. Taking those same 3 numbers would be 4 times 3 equals 12, or 3 times 4 equals 12. When working with all whole numbers, my product will definitely be my largest number. That will only change later on in the year for working with fractions or decimals. And my fourth operation is division. Division kind of breaks the mold a little bit. It's not going to be written in the same ways that addition, subtraction, and multiplication are, so let's focus in on the 3 options for division. I can indeed write a division problem horizontally, and my terminology would be dividend divided by divisor equals quotient. The answer to a division problem is called the quotient. I remember dividend as the first number I write down, or the first end number that I write down in a division problem. Dividend divided by divisor equals quotient. And if I had those same numbers, 4, 3, and 12, dividend most likely is going to be my largest number, at least at the first part of 5th grade, it will always be my largest number. So it would be 12 divided by 4 equals 3. Or I could say 12 divided by 3 equals 4. Notice my largest number is always going to be my dividend, and the dividend is the number I write first. Now division breaks the mold because what I cannot do is write it vertically the same way that I would write an addition, subtraction, or multiplication problem vertically. Division after horizontal, the other two ways are different than everything else. So in addition to writing a division problem horizontally, I can also write a division problem in a division box. And when I do that, I write it this way. Dividend, it's going to be my largest number, the number that I write first, divided by, when I say divided by is when I draw my division box. Divisor is the number that goes outside the box, and quotient is my answer, which goes on top of the box. So dividend divided by divisor equals quotient. If I'm using the same numbers and I'm putting it in the division box, I could say 12 divided by 4 equals 3, or I could say 12 divided by 3 equals 4. Again, my dividend, the first number that I say, is my largest. It's the first number that I write, and it goes inside the box. And division also has a different third way to write it, and that way would be in fraction form. In fraction form, I would say dividend, which makes sense. We said that's the number on the first end, the first number we write, so that's going to be our largest number. Divided by would be my fraction bar. Divisor equals quotient. Using my same numbers, 4, 3, and 12, dividend is my largest number, so I would say 12 divided by 4 equals 3, or I could say 12 divided by 3 equals 4. So those are 6 different ways to properly write a division problem. Let's try some examples. We'll try various different ones, and this video will work a little bit differently because we won't stop until the very end of the video to complete our problems, and your problems will be in a different order than we review them right now. So we'll start with addition. Notice on the right hand side we have a word bank for this first section, which says to write the names. In our word bank, it's really there to help you with spelling. Some of the words may be used more than once, but this way you spell them correctly. Our choices are quotient, sum, difference, factor, dividend, divisor, minuend, addend, subtrahend, or sum. So it says write the names, blank plus blank equals blank. That's what I'll use my word bank for. And the next part of the page, the directions say, using the numbers 3, 2, and 5, write an addition problem in 4 different ways. So let's go ahead and solve this page. I'm going to work on the top where it says write the names. For addition, blank plus blank equals blank. Well, I know addition is addend. I remember that because it has an add in it, and addition has an add in it. Plus addend, addition, they're the same words, addend plus addend, equals, what's the name for the answer for an addition problem? Sum. So an addition problem, addend plus addend equals sum. Say it with me. Addend plus addend equals sum. Addend plus addend equals sum. Now I'm going to use those digits 3, 2, and 5 to write the addition problem in 4 different ways. So first I'm going to write my problem horizontally. I know in an addition problem my sum is usually my largest number. So I look at 3, 2, and 5. 5 would be my sum. So horizontally I will say 3 plus 2 equals 5, sum being the largest, or I can flip my addends around and say 2 plus 3 equals 5, again sum being the largest number. Now I can write my numbers vertically. I'll save the sum for my largest number, which is the 5, so here I will start with 3 plus 2 equal bar 5, or 2 plus 3 equals 5, and again the sum is the largest. So remember the addition problems, whether they're horizontal or vertical, I'll keep my sum my largest digit. And our next page is subtraction. So let's look at the names. In a subtraction problem, it would be minuend. And the way that I remember minuend comes first in subtraction is think about math and Mrs. Wainwright. I'm always talking about chocolate, and chocolate I think, So it reminds me that the minuend comes first in a subtraction problem. So it's minuend minus subtrahend equals difference. Say it with me, minuend minus subtrahend equals difference. Minuend minus subtrahend equals difference. Minuend minus subtrahend equals difference. Okay, so now we're going to write a subtraction problem in 4 different ways. My minuend will always be my largest number in a subtraction problem that we do at this point of the year. So my minuend is usually my largest number. I'm given the numbers 2, 3, and 5, so my minuend, my largest number, will be my first number. So I can write the problem horizontally. 5 minus 2 equals 3, minuend, first number being my largest. Or I can write them horizontally. 5 minus 3 equals 2. I can also write the problem vertically. 5 minus 2 equals 3. Or 5 minus 3 equals 2. Again, my minuend, my first number in the subtraction problem, is the largest number. Okay, and the next operation that we'll look at is multiplication. Let's go ahead and solve. A multiplication problem is factor times factor equals product. My product or my answer will be my largest number, just like my product or my answer in an addition problem is the largest number. I remember that because multiplication is repeated addition, so it's similar to addition in that way, and that my answer is most often my largest number. Okay, so I'm going to write my problems horizontally, and I have 4, 2, and 8. I'll keep my answer my largest number, so I'm going to say 4 times 2 equals 8, or I could say 2 times 4 equals 8. I'll write my problems vertically. I'll say 4 times 2 equal bar 8, or 2 times 4 equal bar 8. Again, 8, my product, is my largest number. And finally, the last operation that we'll work with is division. So let's go ahead and solve this. When we write a division problem, the first number we write is the dividend. I think it's the first end. End is in dividend of the division problem. It's the first number I always write down. It will be the largest divided by divisor equals quotient. Let's say it together. Dividend divided by divisor equals quotient. Dividend divided by divisor equals quotient. Dividend divided by divisor equals quotient. So now we're going to write a division problem in 6 different ways using the digits 4, 2, and 8. I know my dividend, my first number that I write down, will be my largest. So I'm going to start with horizontal, and I will say 8 divided by 4 equals 2. Or I could flip that around, must start with the largest for my dividend. 8 divided by 2 equals 4. Now I'm going to write my division problem in box format. So I write my largest number, my dividend, 8 divided by is my division box, 4 equals 2. Or if I move up to number 4 at the top, I can say 8 divided by 2 equals 4. And the final way that I can write my division problem is as a fraction. Again, the dividend, the first ending number, is my largest. So I will say 8 divided by, which is your fraction bar, 4 equals 2. Or I can say 8 divided by 2 equals 4. First number that I write is my dividend, my first end, and it's always my largest. Please stop the video now and complete your worksheet numbers 1 through 4. Remember to read the operation, addition, subtraction, multiplication, or division very carefully, as your worksheet will go in a different order than the video went in. I know you could go back and look, but what I'd like you to do is, with pencil, take an educated guess at completing it on your own, then go back and make any corrections. I suggest you make your corrections in red pen, because when it comes time to study for this test, you'll know the things that you got wrong, and those are the things you'll need to study. It will be very helpful as a study tool. Good luck.